Breaking news. If you've been living under a rock for the last couple of days, Phoenix Rising has a new manager. Let's talk about tonight. Ooh, yeah, baby. Hello and welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. Appreciate everyone joining us here on a Wednesday evening. It's been a week. It's been a lot happening going on in Phoenix Rising world, in the world of USL. We are here to talk about all of it, but I can't do it alone. I am Max Simpson. I'm joined by the returning Mr. Owain the Oracle Evans.
Well, you didn't call me by the name you were calling me earlier, Max.
Am I allowed to say that on this show?
What?
Mr. Vacation.
Mr. Vacations. That's your name,
it.
Max. You're trying to spin it on me.
We did, so that way he said it himself.
No, he said it first.
Well, I mean, he still said it himself.
That's what you're called, Max.
I mean, if anyone's going to be on here called it, it's him. And of course, not Mr. Vacations, because he's here, Mr. Rees, Goodall. How we doing, buddy?
I'm not sleeping through this show, so
you're darn right. You are not. We ain't sleeping either. We got Kyle.
He may have slept through another show.
Well, you know, it's early for the wee lad. And we got Kyle behind the Mac. He's certainly not sleeping. Leave a like to appease Kyle, if nothing else, and really just get him off our case. But hey, we love you guys. We got a great show for you. A little bit of Rising news. Pa-Modou Kah has been named the official next head coach of Phoenix Rising FC. Gentlemen, this is news that broke on Monday. A little bit in the morning, marinated on this for a little bit over 48 hours. Thoughts?
It's a good hiring. There's a very clear, I think, idea behind why you'd want to go for a guy like this. He's someone who is definitely an up-and-coming coach. At the same time, he's someone who's got a pretty decent amount of experience. There's a reason that Pa-Modou Kah has been interviewing for jobs at an MLS level, okay? If he comes here and is very successful in the early stages, I can see him, give him a year or two, he'll probably be moving on to be an MLS head coach at that point. But right now, just in terms of bringing someone in who can, hopefully get something going here in Phoenix and put things together, I think this is a very good move in the right direction.
Agreed. Rees?
Yeah, I mean, he comes in with winning pedigree at his two clubs. He won the Canadian Premier League with Pacific FC in 2021. And then in 2022 with North Texas, he got them to finish fourth in the West. It's something that really interests me, that 2021 Canadian Premier League. And yes, it is kind of the quality of the Canadian Premier League is not the level of USL by any means, but he challenged a Forge team, which seemingly every year is right at the top of the table. His Pacific side put in 47 goals, most in the league. So I'm very interested to see how does that play style from those Pacific teams carry over to Rising.
Yeah, 100%. I do, of course, want to shout everyone in the chat. Anthony, James, let's go. Siley, we back. Daniel Barry, Golden Man Pat with Reese the Fail, Glizzy, Rickety Bridge, what's up, Rising fans? It's been so nice having Rickety Bridge join us over these last couple of shows, getting back into what we got here at PHNX Rising. I mean, listen, this is kind of something that I talked a bit about on the emergency podcast. I think the big move here is, right, it was breaking news when it happened in the official format, but this is something it's been rumored over the last couple of weeks. I think it's just a bit of sense of, right, a couple things come to mind, right? It's a bit of relief. It's a bit of you got your guy. And I think this was something where you saw there was a bit of proactivity in, as you knew, right, there were going to be head coaching vacancies. There are going to be guys that were coming in, that this was going to be a competitive market. There were a lot of job openings. And to Phoenix Rising's credit, they got their guy and it didn't fall through. This wasn't some false rumor. You never know until these things are pen to paper, but it ended up coming through. in a timely manner. And I think the other thing that is a nice plus to this is you are able to act a little bit ahead of time before the transfers come in, being able to shape the roster in the mold that you want and being able to have, a really long runway to get Pa-Modou Kah up to speed with the club and being able to build this in his image.
Yeah, and this is, when you look at this, obviously we've known since, it was leading up to the playoff game for Rising. Wasn't the best timing for that to come out, but having that in place did mean that now you're not in a position where you're going to be scrambling at this point. You've got someone in post. You contrast this, and we'll speak a little bit more later about things going on around USL. You contrast this with New Mexico, who've now just had their coach leave for FC Dallas. There's a much better position to be in right now, being Phoenix Rising, having, been able to bring him in. Yes, officially this week, but realistically it was known earlier on, and being able to build a squad that works for him, that works around the kind of way he's going to want to play, that's going to all fit in that sense. That's important for this club. It's big that they managed to get that done. And again, this is someone who's coming in just with a good pedigree. He's got his coaching badges. He's been getting them from the FAW, by the way. Shout out to the Football Association of Wales there. But he's someone who I think can really contribute to this team. Overall, look, yeah, the reaction's been interesting, hasn't it? It's really positive, I think, from Rising Lads for the first time in a little while.
It is. I think, you see the way that they went about it. Again, this is the argument that we've been talking about for weeks on end is, there are all candidates there are many different candidates you could have gone about, right? You could have gone with someone who is more of the USL Championship lifer. There are pros and cons to that. You could have gone with someone with more, direct head coaching experience, maybe at a lower level. It could have gone that way. Pros and cons there. You could have gone with someone who maybe even more experience at the MLS level. I think the thing that really excites a lot of people is there was decisiveness, there was proactivity, and you very much align with something where I think there's a new energy a bit. It's a younger guy, someone who you have seen it quoted in press releases. It comes across within the videos on social media. There is an intensity, there isn't a focus, and everyone can say that, but you really kind of back that this is going to be someone who is going to follow up with what they're saying. We, of course, have to see how everything plays out, but I think it just feels that there's a different direction. It's refreshing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the pedigree that we've all spoke about coming into this. He had offers, or not offers, he had interviews with multiple MLS clubs going back to when he was in Canada with Pacific in 21. He's interviewed with Dallas, Charlotte, and Montreal, and a few other rumors have been there too. And there was a video that Charlotte put out when he was there. It was kind of like a documentary style video they put out, and it was just the motivational speech he gave there, and just the things you tell the players behind them. Just gotta hope that can carry over here.
Yeah,
I think something else here that's a part of this though, and I see Kevin bring it up. Well, let's see who we can sign. And one of the questions that's inevitably going to come up about this move here is going to be how the balance is going to come in between, I think, different factors within the club, in terms of the sporting director, in terms of the club president, which obviously the very bit of negativity that we've seen around this has usually involved people talking about them, and how that plays in and where the balance is with how much of this is going to be, I think, Pa's vision, how much of this is going to be the vision that we see from maybe the club hierarchy at large. And while certain things and principles can come across in a, yes, you want this from the club, right? If they want to play an attacking style of play, fine, that's going to come from the club in general. If they want to be a team that score a lot of goals and want to find ways to build a team that's around that, yes, that kind of nice generic vision should be coming from the club. But a lot of the more detailed things, the more tactical sides to this, right? Is it being dictated to him more that they want to play a certain style with wingers like this, or however that may be? It's where you find that balance in there between those off the field and slightly further away from the field, but not entirely away from the field, and those who, in this case, the head coach that's coming in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of where it's going to be shaped from here is just what type of influence is there on roster construction and all that stuff. And I know we'll get into a little bit later in the show, but people are asking in the chat, right? Going by Pat, is he in control of the signings though? Kevin, sure, he has a wish list. And everyone in the chat, whoever was responsible for the Joe Margarita signing has to have a say, which is much to Rees's delight. That will be very much the main point of, you can bring in your guy, you can bring in the person in there, but you need to have, and this is not just for Phoenix Rising, this is across all clubs, you need to have unification between the head coach, between the front office, between the sporting director. You need to make sure that there's unification. And I think specifically for this club, you have seen that that's not always the case. And, even whether it has been, even at times, just again, you don't get that sense of proactivity. This is a step in the right direction. We got to see where it's followed up from here.
You can't go into the season with another glaring hole in the roster like there was this season with the strikers. I mean, you go back to the preseason podcast. I'm sure that was a big part of the discussions there. Yeah. And just the idea that they had the guys internally just was not the case then. And you cannot have that same thought process again this time around. They have to be proactive in the transfer window, finding a guy. I get finding a striker is a hard thing to do, especially at this level, but still, something is better than nothing.
That's true. It's true. I mean, I'm curious, right? And this is very, very early speculation, but like it allows you, right, to kind of think, where does this leave Phoenix Rising moving forward? What's the ceiling for this team? What's the floor? Again, stated earlier, there's a lot of different directions you could have gone. I think, right, this one, I don't think this necessarily brings your floor down. Maybe someone who, if you went with someone who maybe had a little bit more USL Championship pedigree, maybe it's more of a safer option. But I think, to me, the other exciting piece about this is, I think in theory, this can give you, we can dream big. This can give you, in theory, a much bigger ceiling than you've had in the past. Perhaps the floor, that's maybe a different story. We'll have to see on that. But I think you could have gone out with a name that has been around the league or people that I'm more familiar with. This is something where this guy has connections to global football. The things coming out of, can speak 7 languages. That's not for nothing. I think you can relate to a lot of players in the locker room, the different type of intensity and directness that he brings. People want to play for guys like that. And here's the best part. The ones that don't, they'll get weeded out very quickly, and you'll be able to attract a certain type of not just player, but individual who wants to buy into what he's doing. I think that's the thing that has come across to me a lot is you're going to know what type of players you're getting because of the type of personality the manager is.
I think that's one of the things that we've gotten a lot from conversations you have is that he's a guy who can be quite demanding, but that's not a bad thing, right? He demands a high level from his players. He's going to be quite intense in that sense. But obviously, if the guys buy into his system, if they buy into what he's trying to sell them, that can also work very well. I mean, we understand that there have been issues at times with the locker room in terms of sometimes the way that egos balance out, sometimes all of those things, and keeping the team on side can be a struggle and has been a struggle for other people in the past. But if you can get the guys to buy into your idea, if you can get a group of hard workers there who are going to support that kind of a vision, then it's definitely going to be, I think, an interesting season for Phoenix Rising, because I think that it's the right move at the coaching position to really try and start things moving back on the up. The questions really, and these are the only questions that I have, are going to be, are you going to have the right pieces for him to do so? And also, how long-term a project is this going to end up being? Because again, as I said, if you're on the radar already for MLS, then it's very plausible that you could be sitting here in 12 months looking for a coach again. How do you build long-term for that?
And if that does happen, what direction does Rising go if Kah does leave after this season or next season? Because that's when Juan Guerra left Rising, we're kind of seeming from the outside looking in an awkward position, waiting to appoint Danny Stone. How if Kah does leave, which seems likely, where does Rising go and how fast do they act there?
Yeah, 100%. Anthony in the chat, him being defensively minded and bolstering our already solid defense is a great sign. Scoring more than one goal match is a challenge. I think he's the perfect guy to handle it. Listen, I will tell.
I think here's something, look, you look back at what he did with Pacific in the CPL, right? And obviously, yes, there is a side of that defensive mindedness. I mean, they were a top goal scoring team, weren't they, Rees?
They were the top goal scoring.
Yeah, they're a team that will come out with an attacking minded approach, but also aren't afraid to, sometimes park the bus a little bit, as they did in the final there in the CPL, where they didn't have possession for a lot of the first half at all. It's something like 72% of possession went to the opponents, right? But that's, again, I mean, you're talking tactically here, you need to be able to change things up. If that's how you win a game and that's how you got to approach it, then you have to be willing to do that on times.
No, 100%. And I think, right, I mean, the interesting part of like, right, we can play speculation of, right, he's already on, some MLS radars, right? Let's say in a hypothetical, gone in 12 months, and this is like a new, this is kind of wash, rinse, repeat, starting over. I think the thing that, you want to be able to build something long term, but if you're able to transition into another hiring search in a positive light, as in it's after a successful season, there is a top 4 finish, there is a sustained playoff run, rather than what you've seen in recent years was it's just been a lot of, we're still searching for a guy. This is now, keep in mind, the 4th manager in 2024, which is kind of wild to think about. Yes, there's different circumstances, and you can, Juan Guerra, hit the timeliness of his departure. Club definitely couldn't have.
I didn't even think about that, though.
Isn't that
4
crazy?
Technically in 2024.
It's kind of crazy. There's no technical. That's just math. It's kind of crazy. But yeah,
although 2 of them haven't actually coached a game at this club during that stretch.
True, but
yes,
appointed manager. But yes, Juan Guerra, the timing in which he left. That's something that's always tough within there. But if we're at this point in a hypothetical 12 months from now, in theory, you're doing this hopefully from a place of it's better ground, a little bit more successful season. I think just the caliber that you're able to keep on getting from coaches, from players. Long story short, I think this could be a nice reset for a club, not just for this season, not just for next season, but you're hoping this changes just the dynamic of Phoenix Rising and being able to get back to where they were.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be able to turn it back into like that destination, that top club in USL, where guys going, oh, okay, like with that 2019 team, I'll always point to that first. I mean, that they signed some ridiculous players, and through the years they've done that, and they just need to get that appeal back, because right now there really isn't, and it's gonna take a long process to get that back over the next few years.
Yeah, it sure will. Well, listen, we got a lot more to talk about for Pa-Modou Kah, a little bit more about all different types, what this roster will look like, all different funds of speculation. Join us after the break just for that. Yes, but of course, got to talk about our friends at Branded Bills. BrandedBills.com. Use promo code PHNX, save 20% off that order. Guys, it is the holiday season among us, and you can get, some nice Branded Bills hats. They got the trucker hats, the fitted hats, the little hats with the rope on it, ASU hats, UVA hats, all different types of things, different campus collections, different team licenses with teams, little Phoenix Suns hats. They have everything over at brandedbills.com. Again, promo code PHNX. It is just seriously the most comfortable hats I've ever worn. That is high praise. I'm not really a hat guy because got a big head. It hurts to wear for a while, but I just forget I'm wearing a hat with Branded Bills. It is that darn comfortable. It's that darn stylish. Makes you look good. For all different ages, sizes, everything. It's fantastic. Brandedbills.com. Promo code PHNX. Save 20% off that order. Do it for the holidays. Do it for us. Got a lot of great stuff going on. Check them out. Do it now. And also, friends at Circle K. Circle K, here's the thing. I'm always trying to save you guys money. Not only can you see on the screen any size Polar Pop or Froster for 79 cents, I'm going to do you one better. Tomorrow, or if you're listening to this tomorrow, November 21st, Thursday, November 21st, which is tomorrow as of right now, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., it is Circle K Fuel Day. Save up to 40 cents per gallon. 40 cents per gallon, save up to 40 cents per gallon, and then you can add your Inner Circle membership on top of that. That's called saving money. That's a darn good deal. Drive around a couple hours and then go fill up at Circle K. There you go. Check it out again. Circle K at participating locations. Circle K Fuel Day, November 21st, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Save up to 40 cents per gallon, and then use your Inner Circle membership. Right on top of it. Be on the lookout as well. We got some, I think you'll be seeing some friendly faces over at Circle K gas stations in the near future. Just a little teaser there. But yes, Circle K Fuel Day tomorrow. Go fill up on that gas. All right. Back here talking about little new manager for Phoenix Rising. I mean, right, again, we talked a bit about his experience. We've talked a bit just how this is a fit. It's a new sign for the club. It is interesting, though, right? What can we kind of speculate about the different style he's going to play, and what are some players we think that can fit within what he wants to do?
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because there's a lot of movement, I think, already set in this club, right? Guys who aren't coming back because, loan deals are up, contracts are coming up, decisions are going to have to be made. I mean, it's complex. I mean, you're realistically starting this year. Right now, let's be honest, you don't have a striker. Both of those guys came in on loan. Rocco came in on loan. Even if he wants to come back, he came in on loan. Patrick Rakowski's barely played, and there's a reasonable chance he may look to move on. You may well be going into this now without having a goalkeeper or a centre forward set up for you. So those are two very big positions that you have to get right, whether you bring Rocco back or not. I mean, we saw what happened with the centre forward issue when they didn't get that resolved particularly well this year. Those are going to be big ones, I think, to really look to address at the moment for him coming in.
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely the two. But one for me that kind of stands out is how that left back that defense is going to look, because Diego Gomez played such an unorthodox style with how he deployed Emi Cuejo, playing him as a left back, then playing him so far into midfield when they were in possession. How will Rising look under Pa-Modou Kah? There is going to be the most interesting tidbit of this new style. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same wingers style, because I don't think you bring in guys like Darius Johnson and Gerald Margarita just to change your style completely. But then again, who really knows at this point?
Yeah, I get the feeling that he's probably not going to go with that. It's such an unorthodox kind of approach. It's something that it feels more like you do either because that's something that you really want to do, or you get to a certain point in the season whereby you just like, we have to change things up, and you create that. You'd imagine, I mean, I've got to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if there's somewhat of a gutting of this squad with quite a few new faces in. I don't think it's necessarily something that you go into and plan to do unless it's part of maybe a wider tactical change. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. By the way, make sure to leave a like while we got you guys. We're getting Bridge only 8 likes. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that. Make sure to leave a like. Appease Kyle. Mainly appease Kyle. That's if nothing else.
No, Max doesn't want the likes. It's just Kyle.
I mean, I want the likes, but I'm just trying to keep Kyle. A happy Kyle is a happy show. That's what I've learned. Also, while chat, do us a favor. Drop in there. Give us 2 to 3 players that you absolutely right. If it's up to you, they're staying on Phoenix Rising no matter what. Drop it in the chat. As we're kind of talking through who could be staying with this team, if it is an overall refresh, it is kind of a bit of that overhaul. There's some players, right? And again, the chat's going to be throwing out some people who they want to see stay. Listen, this is no disrespect to anyone who's been here. I think there's players that I would very much want to keep, but I don't think an overall refresh is necessarily the worst thing, because I think you've seen it doesn't always mean bad things and a bad precursor. I think that you want to have a manager come in, build the roster according to what they're looking for, rather than having to shoehorn players who aren't necessarily fit for their mold. That's one thing from the tactical setup. The other thing, listen, a lot of these guys who have been here for the past 1-2 seasons, they've gone through a lot. Yeah. And I think a bit of that refresh just from a culture mentality, from a club mentality, the little shift in there, I don't think that's a bad thing. Again, everything points to a fresh start. It seems just refreshing to me. And if that means with some new players, so be it. We already got a couple people, by the way. Going man, Pat, got Hatmar Boy, Rocco, and Gerald Margarita making it as a must-have, and he's only been here for half a season. We got, let's see, Kevin.
I mean, Margarita is obviously under a multi-year contract. He will be back. Pap, we'll see. I know there's interest elsewhere. We'll see. I believe he's under contract still, but not entirely.
Yeah.
Like, the club is what they are with those contracts, but there has been interest elsewhere in Pap, and it's worth remembering in this kind of case that the whole reason you're able to sign guys like Pap is because long term they do want to move on to somewhere else, and in a lot of ways they want you to be that vehicle for moving them on to somewhere else. We'll have to see what happens there. Giulio Doratiotto went in there. I see there's a few of you there mentioning your players. Giulio Doratiotto, not sure what the situation is going to be with him. He did, of course, post the Grazia Phoenix on Instagram a little while ago. That's a little bit ominous, I'll be honest. But we'll see.
Not ominous.
Charlie Dennis is under a multi-year deal. In terms of Rocco, Rios, Novo obviously came in on loan. It's his second year on loan. My understanding is he likes it here.
What's not
in
to
an
like?
ideal scenario, he'd probably be able to come back. We'll have to see. There's a lot of things that go on with that in terms of just the business with clubs. It's difficult to tell what's going to happen. Yeah, I think Margarita definitely is probably the one that really stands out. He had an impact in the second half of the season. He's just come off of a big international break where he's looked really good for Curacao.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's going to come back. I expect he'll make an impact no matter what coach he was going to come in under. What I will say is if you're going to commit then to that, you're going to commit to the wing play kind of approach, you're going to need to find an extra couple of wingers in there because right now, when you look at where they're at in terms of wing play, probably not quite enough in there. You probably need to try and think some things there to how you're going to bolster that because even if you're not talking about, even if you're going to look at it and say, well, Jill and I don't know, say Darius Johnson are your starters. I'm not sure if you want that to be the case, but even if you go down that approach, right, and you go Jill and Darius Johnson, you're going to need guys to back them up. You're going to need more options there in terms of who you're going to look to in those wide spaces, and how you're going to make that work. And that's what's going to intrigue me here. I mean, there was a comment way further up about formation, by the way. Harder to tell a little bit because you got to remember we've got a very limited sample size, and more importantly, at North Texas, there's only so much you can implement.
Yeah.
Bear that in mind, when you're a reserve team, you kind of got to follow tactically probably something reasonably similar to what the first team want because they're going to want those guys ready to make the move back up if they can. But I mean, we'll see with that. I mean, and also remember that there's still a lot to go there. Is Ryan Flood still available to us? Fat Kid says. It's a good question. I'm not sure if he's under contract or not.
Forgot he was contracted.
I know.
Oh, man.
Run it back with Panos, says Ewan in there. I'm not sure that Panos Amanakis is going to be returning to Phoenix Rising. I'll put it that way.
There it is.
As much as Memphis may have been a bit of a disaster, and that one came as a shock to everybody, and I mean everybody on that one, by the way. That doesn't sound like there was a lot of writing on the wall there until the very last minute when it just dropped. But we'll see. And no, they don't want Yaku Mete over here as well.
It's funny. We had multiple people, when we asked what the players that they want to keep as must-haves, every single person put Pat Boy. High praise.
Yeah.
High praise.
It is. I mean, he is on the shortlist for Young Player of the Year for a reason.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a particular surprise here to say that I voted for Pat Boy for Young Player of the Year, but
got Andrew Baker with Rocco, Darius, Pat Boy, and Fede Varela. Okay, yeah, we got
I'm not sure what the situation will be with Darius.
Yeah.
Obviously the guy has recently had a child. I'm not sure if maybe there's any longing maybe to move home as a result. Mike's just stretching his neck out there a little bit. Fede Varela, I mean, just to get in on Fede Varela, I wouldn't say that I personally think that, knowing that he's probably one of the higher paid players at the club, I'm not sure that he's necessarily justifies that price tag when you compare him to what he's done at the club over the time. This is a guy who has a lot of technical ability, but we just haven't seen it consistently enough with Phoenix Rising. We haven't seen it enough. I don't know.
He just doesn't have the physical ability to go with that.
That's a big part of it as well. In this league, you need to have that accompanying physical ability, which I just don't think we've seen a lot of.
And I think if anything, if you're just straight up guesstimating on what the vibe, what the work effort off the ball is going to be, I mean, again, Pa-Modou Kah screams nothing but intensity. I think it's only going to go up from here.
Yeah, and that doesn't really have a spot for Fede there. I mean, he did deliver a couple moments here and there, but it's just for... I mean, I think most people, when they saw Fede Varela sign, they saw, FC Porto Academy, huh? Interesting. What could he be? But it just
hasn't worked out, I don't think. And that's the problem. In an ideal world, you probably move on from him and allow him to go somewhere maybe he's a better fit.
Sure.
And free up some of that space there to see what you could do.
I'm curious, right? I mean, especially I think what's going to be interesting in the area to watch, right, is, yes, absolutely need a striker up top, especially with all the, the loanies who were coming in and now out. Knowing, the back line and everything, yes, if players come and go, but right, if you're able to hold on to some of the pieces from last year, hopefully there's some validity there. I'm very curious from the midfield, right? Especially knowing That's Pa-Modou Kah's position, knowing the intensity, knowing how it looks like he wants to play. I think to me that can really suit some of the, some guys who there's going to be a certain mold that's going to be in there. Yes, you need guys who are progressive, who are able to pass the ball and all that stuff. But I think you're going to get a profile where it's maybe going to be some guys who are very physical off the ball, who can really help control that midfield, and just maybe a little bit different than what we've seen in previous years, where some guys in the midfield, it's maybe more from I'm trying to think how to phrase it, for more of like a pure tactical sense, whereas I think you're going to need to bring in a profile that, yes, they can pass the ball, but physically they're going to be needing to be imposing.
You know what it sounds like you're asking for?
What's that?
Carlos Harvey.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's a very different type of midfielder, to be fair, though, with Carlos Harvey.
But yes.
No, I know. And
that sounds good.
To me, it's going to be intriguing how he really goes after. I mean, well, one of the things is, what do you try and get out of Charlie Dennis? How do you expect him to play? Because you are going to need at some point... I mean, do you expect him to be a little bit deeper maybe and play more of the 8 role? I mean, I don't know. What we saw out of him under Diego was, I think, a real mixed bag at times. He played quite deep a lot of the time. And that doesn't get the best out of him. Do you play him as more of a 10? And then you're going to have to look to find a number 8 at some point. Look, Charlie Dennis has obviously got talent, but I think he's been inconsistent since arriving at Phoenix Rising. We've spoken about this before, whereby you get that maybe 25% of games you look at him and go, wow, what a player this is. But then you get like 50% where he's, fine, but not amazing. Sure. And the other 25% where you just sometimes look at it and go, where is he?
Yeah.
So when he's playing at his best, he's a very, 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 very good player for this level. But it's about finding more of that consistency. Maybe that's just mixing into a new team that was struggling in the middle of a season in general. I'll confess I haven't watched enough of him outside of Phoenix Rising to be able to really get into it on how you can get a more consistent approach out of him. But it'll be interesting to see what the plan is for him, and then how you build that midfield in terms of the missing pieces, depending in part on where you expect him to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought last season that Charlie looked a lot better when he was higher up the pitch. When he was asked to drop deeper, I thought that's when we saw more of that 50 to 25% of performances that you mentioned. But, I mean, he did have some good matches, some really good matches where he was creating the bulk of chances for Phoenix Rising. But, again, that's when he was deployed higher. I think that's what Pa-Modou Kah needs to find a way to get him higher up the pitch, deeper in the final third.
Yeah, 100%. Got some Kev Lambert shouts in the chat.
I mean, you'd hope for, but I don't know. I think to an extent as well. Look, he's probably going to want to try and establish himself somewhere else. You'd almost hope as well, because his betterment. You don't want him to become just a guy who's kind of tied to this club. We know he's capable of playing at a higher level, and it's almost as though if he just keeps coming back to Phoenix, is he gonna really crack on through to that higher level? I don't know. We'll see.
I guess we will. What other tidbits do we got?
He would help this team, though.
Yeah.
Yes. For Pa-Modou Kah, coaching style, what else we got, gents? Anything else we can unearth?
I mean, you just got to hope that he can motivate the group for the long season. I mean, there's some things I've read from him at Pacific when he was at Pacific FC in the Canadian Premier League, and that's kind of what he became known for in a sense, was the man motivation. And in a way that's going to be good for Rising if, when it comes down to the playoffs. So you're entering it, you got 4 matches between you and a title. That's perfect for them. But it's also the 34 matches that are going to be key too between then.
Agreed. It all sounds good to me. Well, listen, we're, talking about Phoenix Rising. Turns our attention to USL Championship as a whole. There's a final going on.
There is?
Yeah.
No other news either. Just
a final?
Well, no, there's plenty.
There's plenty going on right now.
Of news.
There's a lot happening.
Oh boy. Actually, before we get into that question in the chat, miserable. That is also quite a emoji. Oh my gosh. Will John Stenberg return for next season?
I'd be surprised. I'll be honest and say, look, the way he struggled this year with injury after contracting valley fever at the end of last year, he's gonna struggle a lot, I think, and this is the challenge, right? Is I'm not sure if he's going to play football again, really. He struggled so much this year, but even if he does, maybe he's going to a different club. Maybe it's going to a lower level to try and regain that fitness. It's disappointing, I think, that things ended the way that they did in a lot of ways. With the last season in particular was not fun. You'd have hoped for better. This guy was named captain at the start of the year. Very well respected in the locker room. Obviously made the contribution he did in the final with a goal in the very end. But at the same time, that's something that's going to always take it out of you. You know, contracting valley fever is to a degree that you're hospitalized is no joke.
No.
And that's always going to have an impact on you as a professional athlete at that point.
You're wrong, man. Well, turning back to the USL Championship Final, we do have two teams to discuss. Gentlemen, as we all predicted, it was Colorado Springs Switchbacks, which, decent seed. No surprise there. And, of course, everyone's favorite in the East out of Rhode Island, the newcomers making it all the way. Gentlemen, will Cinderella story continue?
No, I think it goes Switchbacks. I think Switchbacks.
Happy start there, eh, Rees?
Well, I mean, I'm just honest. That's
honest.
gonna come back to
Give us the predictions in the chat.
I just think Switchbacks are so good at home, and they've kind of become a well-oiled machine when it comes to this playoff run. And I know Rhode Island have pulled off massive upsets. I mean, the Louisville win and the Charleston win, both on the road. But I just think going to Colorado Springs, I've said this before every playoff round, going to Colorado Springs, that elevation, that stadium is a tough place to play. And yeah, I forgot the kickoff time is like
10.
Yeah, I won't be awake for that, so I won't even watch it.
But no, here's the thing. That 10 a.m. kickoff time, that helps Rhode Island. Let's be clear on that, because for them, in the time zone that they're adjusted to, they're kicking off at noon.
That's a good point.
Colorado Springs are kicking off at 10 a.m. in their body clock there. That's tough. Okay, there's a reason that was panned by Colorado Springs' coach in interviews this week. It's not good. Now, don't get me wrong. Colorado Springs are the favorites for a reason. The elevation can play into it, all of that. They haven't been the most convincing against any of these opponents they've played in the playoffs. They've gotten it done. They haven't been that convincing. Now, of course, that's not the be all and end all, right? You can win games without being that convincing, and in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you get the result at the end. But they haven't been that convincing at home in these games. You look at the first one, Orange County went to extra time. Okay? Took into extra time for them to win 2-1. You look at the last game against Las Vegas. They win that game 1-0, but they had 2 shots on target all game and 30% of the ball. All right? They beat Oakland by an all right margin, but it's Oakland. Oakland were playing like Oakland were at the end of the year. Oakland are playing in the kind of form that you expect from a club that's fans are now threatening they're going to boycott next season, unless they see more change within the club to actually fix some problems that are there. And how did Oakland reply to that? They hired the coach that they've been having for most of this year, which, again, it wasn't targeted at the coach, to be fair, But yeah, you're kind of in that position. I don't know. I think that Rhode Island have a chance in this one.
Of course they got a chance.
And especially when you've got a guy like JJ Williams and the goal scoring form that he's been on. I mean, that's just a game changer at that point, isn't it?
He's scored more goals in this playoff run than he did in 13 games with Rising. It's just
woof.
Yeah.
And then you got Noah Fuzon as well, who's a very good attack-minded player too. Look, there's a lot of guys in here who just really, really can get it. I mean, look, Rhode Island went to Louisville City away, a team that were having a phenomenal season, one of the best seasons in the league ever, one of the best teams the league has seen put together, and they beat them in the playoffs 3-0 in Louisville.
Child's play.
You can't tell me that's not a team capable of beating Colorado Springs.
Okay, so hold on. You said Rhode Island. You said Colorado Springs.
I'm taking Rhode Island.
Whoa,
I'm taking Rhode Island.
So Rees, what's your score prediction?
It's gonna be boring 1-0.
Okay. Owain.
2-1 after extra time.
Okay. Okay, chat. Keep them coming. I mean,
Hang on a minute. Let's get the other important part
hold
here.
on,
Let's get.
I saw Anthony. Honestly, I'll take Rhode Island money line the last 2 weeks. No one's gonna stop me from letting that ride. Well, if you go with our friends at Bet365, use promo code PHNX365 upon signing up. Never ordinary with Bet365. They have Colorado Springs switchbacks plus 150, Rhode Island FC plus 150, and a draw as in to go into
Extra
time plus 240. This is quite literally the version of a toss-up with our friends at Bet365. And both these gentlemen, they're taking one team, one's taking the other. I'm going to go extra time, and I don't think this goes to pens. Give me Colorado Springs. Sorry, Rhode Island. It's done.
As another point here, just on weather, which I think is also an interesting one, given we've seen how cold it's been. Thanks, Max. It's going to be about 65 on Saturday.
That's nice.
Now, it'd be a bit cooler than that, obviously, in the morning. It's going to be warming up to that point, but it could be a lot worse. They've had some really chilly games there. Obviously, the one game against Orange County, I believe it was, had to be pushed back 24 hours because of a risk there of snow. So we'll see how that goes, but it's not going to be too bad. Again, a 10 a.m. kickoff in my mind really favors Rhode Island in this game.
No referee announcement yet either. So.
They normally do the big reveal shortly.
Yeah. Let's take a look at what we got in the chat. I think we got Kevin up the chat. 2-1 Springs. Devin All says he wants extra time. Going on, Pat. Rhode Island dominates 4-1. James Wilson 3-1. Rhode Island in regular time. Andrew, Rhode Island in PKs. There's a lot. There's a lot of people riding with Rhode Island. You know what? How about Mr. Kyle, Mr. Producer Extraordinaire? Who you got, guy?
Owain convinced me. Rhode Island.
Whoa.
2-1.
Okay. By the way, I have 3-2 after extra time. But yeah.
3-2.
3-2.
That's a lot of goals.
A lot of goals.
We'll see.
When did Colorado Springs last score 3 goals?
Ooh, first time for everything.
No, they'd have done it, but when?
Well, no, I know, but like
it
time in a while for everything.
was September 8th versus Tampa Bay Rowdies. Did it the week before and the week before too.
They were scoring goals right back then.
Well. It's what you got. USL Championship. It's going to be
4-4-3. Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be an interesting one. Well, speaking of USL, got some annual awards, right? People who have been named, some news and all that stuff. What we got? We got a couple announced, yes.
Defender of the Year,
Yes.
Graham Smith.
Right.
I had him on my ballot in part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got a little Keeper of the Year.
Goalkeeper of the Year, Eric Dick. Yeah, no. I am losing my faith in USL Championship voters. I'm sorry, my fellow voters, you are wrong.
But it's opinion.
It's just one of those words.
Your opinion can be wrong, and I'm afraid in this case it is wrong. Sorry, Eric, but it's wrong. I wonder to an extent, and we've spoken about this, then I've spoken about it with others, how much the approach of looking at this focuses on the very most basic stats, which ignore the fact that a team that is often as defensively minded as you see from Bob Lilly in Pittsburgh, obviously you're going to get lower. You're going to get lower goals against and higher clean sheets. And that's not necessarily you. It can be a lot of things here. To me, Eric Dick, he was all right this year, definitely. But I think to say that he was goalkeeper of the year is comical. There were better choices available. I'd honestly have voted for either of the two other shortlisted goalkeepers there in Reno Ribeiro and Danny Vitiello before I would have voted for Eric Dick.
Okay. Who else? Who do we like still for the awards still yet to be announced?
Rees, can you give them to us,
what
please?
is it? Coach of the Year,
Yes.
which is what is it?
Dennis Sanchez.
Yeah, Dennis Sanchez, Eric Quill, and Danny Cruz is the 3 nominees. I can see a case for Eric Quill, but I just think what Vegas did this season is just so absurd. How quickly they put that roster together and to be a competitive side in the league.
They made a conference final with a team that they blew up and rebuilt in 6 weeks.
I mean, it's just insane that they were able to do that. That's Coach of the Year in my eyes.
100%. Among that group, 100%.
Yeah.
Young player?
Pop. I can't
Pap.
remember the nominees.
It's Pap. The others are, I believe, it's Serrano and Winder. I think. but it's Pap
It's
for me.
Pop, yeah.
It's Pap for me. I think that he's the only rising player that I think was deserving of any of these real awards. I mean, yeah, Rocco's a good goalkeeper, but again, the season's just been what it's been. You know, it's hard to really make a case for players in that kind of a situation. It's Pap for me. I mean, I imagine it will end up going to Elijah Winder, I'm sure, but it's Pap for me.
I don't disagree. Okay, we'll see what we see.
And then MVP is, if it's not Nick Marcanek, there's something incredibly wrong. I mean, quite frankly, if it's not unanimous Nick Marcanek, I'm questioning whether people need their votes taken off of them. But I mean, that's
fair. That's fair.
You know, no surprise there as to who I voted for MVP in this one.
He is letting the people know. Well, listen, we also have some additional movement news from the USL, right? We got a little coaching. All right, talking about coaching, coach of the year. Well, Dan Quill going from New Mexico.
Eric Quill is off to Dallas.
To FC Dallas. Eric Quill.
Not a huge shock. I mean, he's obviously had a good season this year. He's someone who's known to that organization. Mm-hmm. He was at North Texas before. So again, someone really well known to that organization. And I think that there've been obviously questions before about, is he going to, you know, make the jump up again? Could he be interest from MLS? Obviously it's come through now and he's into FC Dallas, but leaves New Mexico in a bit of an awkward scenario now, right? You're finding a coach again. You'd have hoped if you were in New Mexico that what he was building is something that, you know, can they continue it? Well, they obviously have the sporting director there, and Itamar Kanan. We'll see if they're able to put that, you know, kind of keep that together and move the project forward without Eric Quill being there. But that's going to be a challenge now. You're going to have to find a new coach, hope that they buy into the exact same kind of system that you are operating there with what they were doing under Eric Quill. And you got to do it now in a season where, I mean, you've seen teams starting to make roster moves. Can they keep that, you know, can they get something done relatively quickly and make it happy? Kevin there with Chance is happy at QC.
He was on that
Chance to Lexington from Devon. There's Chance to NMU.
A Lexington podcast that like posted their top 5 candidates for their head coach, and Rick Chance was on that list. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Take him. All right. Well,
are they joining the championship next year? For next year, or is that the draft?
Lexington are in next year. There are so many coaches available right now that I am shocked that
like
Rick Chance gets consideration for that. Mike Briggs. What's the situation going with Alan Marcina?
True. Yeah.
He's available, right? When you've got coaches like that, obviously you have Eamon from Northern Colorado is available. Yeah. He's a good up and coming coach that I think that someone in this league should probably make a run at him as well.
I think he's going to be one of the more highly touted candidates in my eyes.
But do you look at him for New Mexico? If you're New Mexico, you're probably looking to him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that would kind of work around what New Mexico's kind of transfer policy has kind of turned to over the last couple of years, where they, under Quill, where they brought in quite a few of League One guys, and you got bringing in a guy that would know quite a lot about that league would make sense there.
I think he'd be a good fit for that team.
Yeah.
True. Well, it's not the only piece of USL transfer news in a sense. Jordan Farr going to DC United.
Not a shock again. There's a New Mexico coach link there in terms of Troy Lezane is obviously at DC United. Look, goalkeepers are a really weird one because you also have to bear in mind, if you're a team from a league above, you've got to have a guy who's willing to not play if they're not going to be your starter, because your backup just doesn't play most of the time. If Jordan Farr is willing to do that, then yeah, fair enough. And he's been one of the better keepers, I think, in this league for a little while. Going to meet up with the coach who coached in this league doesn't really surprise me that much.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised either. I mean, I still think it was so weird how things ended with him at San Antonio, how they just kind of all of a sudden benched him out of nowhere.
They just kind of binned him off, didn't they?
It was weird.
It was wrong. I don't like the way they treated him in that one. Yeah. He was a key player for them for so long, and one of the fan favorites as well.
Yeah.
You want to know a fun fact?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Went to college with Jordan Farr.
Whoa.
Wow.
You're just dropping this on us now?
Yeah.
How did? Yeah,
on the show. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, have we not heard this before?
Producer Kyle Cooper went to college. Went to school with Jordan Farr. Okay. Well,
you went to Corbin
University.
Wow.
I went there for 2
so when are you getting Jordan Farr on the pod?
Yeah. Also, how come
Let me hit him up?
You couldn't try to
do.
you couldn't do like a little open competition, beat him out in goal, score a penalty on him. Come on.
He was scared.
Oh yeah, he was scared. Oh, that's a quote. All right. Oh man. Well, that's some news. We also have some news as well.
We only just found that out.
Yeah. What the heck? God, that's crazy. That's
we haven't really talked about Jordan Farr.
He's definitely come up at some
point. Surely.
What are you talking about? That's crazy. That's absolutely. This man's just been sitting on this and just waiting for the news cycle to be just like, it's slow enough. Here's the time. We're out of season. Boom. Okay. Well, thank you, Kyle. Well, we have some news. I don't know if it's going to top that, but we're going to bring back. It is that time of year. It's the PHNX Rising Team Awards. That's right. This is the one where we're going to be launching it tomorrow. Owen will give the full breakdown spiel of all the different categories and explain everything. But long story short, this is your time. That's right, you watching, you listening, to vote on who you want for, our kind of version of team awards. Everything from, MVP, most improved, best young player, all this type of stuff. Fans are going to get a vote. Diehards are going to get a vote. And then media will get a vote as well. We're going to put everything together, release the results live on the pod here in a couple weeks. And it's going to be fun. It was fun last year. We're going to get back again this year.
Yeah. We're dropping that tomorrow. How long are we leaving it open for, Max?
What did we do last time? Like a week or two?
I don't know. Up to you, mate. What do you want to do?
Let's do... Let's do. All right, we're gonna
half hour maybe.
No, stop. We're gonna do. We'll do it in December. We'll give it 2 weeks.
You do it in December. Ooh, okay.
Give it 2 weeks. We're gonna do a little Friendsgiving. We're gonna do a little Friendsgiving episode next week. Boom. Already ahead of it.
All right, Mr. Simpson.
Don't you worry. But yeah, we'll do. It'll be announced in December. But yeah, it's going to open tomorrow. You'll see it on our socials at PHNX__rising. You'll see it in the Discord. Maybe we convince little Patrick to drop it in the newsletter. But yeah, we'll have some fun with it. Get your votes in. Rock the vote. Rock the vote, baby. All right. Team awards, all that stuff. Oh. We haven't talked about the most important thing. Mr. Vacations, he's back. How was it?
You can't. I mean, it was already in the chat earlier that that's your rightful crown, Max.
I don't recall that.
I took one trip.
That's what I'm saying.
That's really all that matters.
And honestly, when you really think about it, he took a lot. Like he was even farther away from the pod than anyone else. He distanced himself around the world. That
you
is just
add up all 100 of your vacations that don't equal the distance.
Yeah, I agree with
Max
that.
Simpson. I'll tell you what, you'll hear about this very soon, when you take your next trip. But where did I go? You got a scarf there, Max. I got your scarf back, didn't I?
It's actually nice. It's a nice little summer scarf. Yeah. Nice.
That was a Kayseri Spor, the team there. Yeah,
nice.
It's where Wales played in Kayseri in Turkey. 0-0 draw. They missed a penalty at the very end of the game. So, that's always scenes.
Heartbreaking.
That's scenes. That is scenes. Yeah, it was an interesting time. Got to see Istanbul as well. Nice times,
yeah. Okay, there you go. Was the travels? Any good food? Anything like that?
Yeah, no.
You brought back some brand redacted snacks we like.
Oh yeah. So I had a lot of time in Heathrow on the way back. So we kind of nipped out to the brand. It's an airport.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Just making sure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Fine, I'll make it worse. Then we nipped out to the big Tesco near Hatton Cross.
Why?
They're not here. I'm just doing it to pain you, Max. But got some stuff.
Yeah, you did.
Good time.
This man,
he's been eating the food.
Have you ever heard someone just sound less enthusiastic about it, describing their vacation?
It's almost like he had to watch Wales play.
I did.
How was your vacation? Oh yeah, it was fine. It was
good time.
It was good. Good time. Yeah,
Well, it's because he missed Jerome Margarita's 4-goal game. That's why.
Yeah, I slept through that when I woke up to being tagged by Curacao Football News and all of that. It's good times.
just bangers, four
They-
bangers. What a player.
It was against Samartan, in fairness,
Stop
wasn't
don't
it?
you
Doesn't
caveat
matter.
it.
And then,
Don't
well, then he
caveat
I mean,
drops
it's
2
hard to
assists
do.
the next
It's
match.
hard to do against St. Lucia. It's hard to do at
Quality.
any level of international football, in
or
fairness.
any level of football, even Golden Boot in Division 2.
Did you
No,
score
Max,
something
you
like
can't
that
claim
in
that.
Division two?
Max, did you watch Curacao against Samartan?
I mean, but of course.
No, you didn't.
I mean,
Don't you lie to me.
I
Don't
saw
you
the,
lie
I
to me.
saw the highlights.
He didn't sleep through it. That's
Yeah,
all that
got
matters.
him.
He didn't
Got
sleep
him.
through it.
Yeah.
I would never sleep through anything.
We would never. Well, that's okay. You know what? A lot of people in the chat, were able to catch the emergency podcast, and it's good to be able to have them catching now.
I
Yeah,
did
no,
get
I mean,
it. Gotta
hey,
fill the
yeah,
void.
it's been a good week
Gotta
though,
fill
of
the
course, with Wales getting promotion. Yeah, League B. Not everyone can get promoted from League B unbeaten, but yeah,
It's fine. It's fine. We got more important things. Not even the biggest story in Wales, actually. Wrexham.
no one cares about
What about
Wrexham.
that?
Wrexham. What are they doing nowadays?
Wrexham.
Still Wrexham.
Don't they need security for James McLean?
Oh, stop it. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wrexham.
We're not getting into that one.
Wrexham is just hurt.
Still third. No worries there. No worries.
No worries. Are you sure about that?
boy.
Oh man, I've never been more confident in the mighty Wrexham.
Wrexham.
You've played more games than Birmingham, who are 2 points ahead of you.
All right, let's not say
You've played more games than Wickham, who are 4 points ahead of you.
This man.
I thought you said don't say you.
He's drinking the
Yeah.
copium.
So you're not Wrexham.
No, I'm
through
not
and through.
Wrexham.
There we go. Thank you, Rees.
We are all Wrexham.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
We got it. What are we looking
No
for?
more Disney
What are we looking
FC.
forward to the Premier League? I'm excited for Spurs to drop to Man City.
I'm excited for the next international break.
Yep. I think
Don't
that's
wanna
17
watch
weeks
it.
from now.
In
Yep,
March.
that is 17 weeks from now.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend was absolutely brilliant. I didn't have to watch Arsenal play. It was amazing.
Yeah. What do you guys play?
I think we play Forest.
Oh,
Forest
yeah,
home.
That's
Yeah,
cake.
Saturday 8 a.m.
That's cake. Yeah, you're good there.
Forest? I don't know. We're
I mean,
losing
I
that.
think they're fraudulent.
We're losing that, and then I'm turning Arteta out.
I like it. Hey, I like it. I haven't gotten to that big Ange out yet. It'll come. Maybe.
Hang on a minute. We're not talking about the biggest news. San Marino.
Oh, yeah, massive.
San
Oh,
Marino.
massive.
Nations League D group champions. What group were they in? Hang on a minute.
I think one.
Were they in Group
Or
A or B?
Yeah.
One or two. I don't know.
Whatever the first one is there.
They were in Group 1, yeah. Nations League Group D1 champions. Let's go.
You'll never sing that.
Hang in
man.
the
You'll never
rafters.
sing that. San Marino, who won more games in this one tournament than they had won the entirety of the rest of their existence. They've only won 3 games all time ever. All of which, by the way, are against Liechtenstein. They've only ever beaten Liechtenstein. Nobody else. All 3 wins in the entire history.
That's honestly is pretty massive.
They've been playing since 1990. They've won more games in this past 3 months than they've won in everything prior to that.
It's
They're
their golden
giant. They're
generation.
they're
Have you
massive.
seen their Twitter account?
It
It's
is
the
crazy.
golden generation.
Of course it is. They
San
got promoted,
Marino.
Rees. They got 7 points. They only lost 1 out of 4 games. That never happens.
That's amazing.
It is a miracle.
We're happy for
There,
them.
I don't think they score 1 goal in League C.
I don't.
I don't even know who they're going to get in League C, but it's going to be Messi, whoever
Well,
it is. Probably.
No
Did you just-
Miami.
Did you just say Messi? Whoa, Messi's going to San
Stop
Marino.
it.
Miami FC
The
the nations.
San Marino? Oh my gosh. Wow, that's breaking news. Heard it here first.
No.
Ooh. We're back. The nonsense hour is back.
Max, we don't need that.
Yeah, I think I'll probably do it. Yeah, well, I think it's as good a time as ever. We appreciate everyone joining us here. We'll wrap up here on the PHNX Wrexham PHNX Rise
Max,
podcast.
stop.
It was just a cough.
What? Yeah, you look how
Stop.
said he's getting at the PHNX.
Hey, to be fair, they might score goals when they get into the next one because they could draw the Faroe Islands
Oh, gosh. Island battle.
or Estonia
I thought
Ooh.
San
or
Marino was
Belarus
landlocked.
or Cyprus.
Don't fact check me geography. You can follow us at PHNX __ rising because double the underscore.
Double the wins for San Marino.
Yeah,
There we go.
And we're now with this the San Marino PHNX San Marino podcast. Moving forward, we
Yeah,
got
they
new
landlocked.
graphics, new cover art. Kyle, get on it. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Sims. You can follow Owen on Twitter at OJ Evans 18. You can follow Rees on Twitter at Rees 11 _. You could follow Mr. Cow behind the Mac at K Coop Sports. Even though next week there are holidays, we are going to be here Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Wednesday
for a little Friendsgiving edition of the PHNX Rising podcast. But until then, make sure you watch all the football.
Yeah, Max is making a turkey. Max should. Should we make him do that, Rees?
No, because I don't trust him.
Yeah,
You might
fair.
get food poisoning.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I'm making a note
That's
to
true.
choose a turkey, but it is gotta be. It's a beautiful game,
Right,
but it's
purely for
hey,
that,
I am
I'm
si-
pulling the
I'm
mic
doing my
away
sign.
from him.
I am doing my. I am
It's a
doing,
beautiful
I,
game, but it's even more beautiful when
I sign off.
stop
Good night.
talking.
We all silly like the mayor.